Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. Today, we are going to be discussing never settle for perfection. I'm sure you've heard that before, Troy, right? Never settle for perfection.
I don't think that's how it goes.
That's not how it goes? Oh, no, it's never settle for less than perfect, right? Never settle for less than perfect. No, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about never settle for perfection. Now, what does that mean? Well, don't let perfect get in the way of being good enough. Don't let it be the enemy of good enough. And some people are going, wait, what? No, like right away, especially my OCD listeners,
Yep.
They are like freaking out, the hair on the back of their neck sticking up. They're getting goosebumps and they're just like, what are you talking about? No, it needs to be perfect. Everything needs to be perfect. If my wife is listening right now, trust me. Hi, honey. She is going, oh, what are you talking about, Trevor? Stop leading your listeners astray. Never settle for perfect. What happens when you are trying to always make everything perfect is you fail to ever launch anything. And
Yes.
Business owners have a big problem with this. In fact, over the weekend, I experienced this with my wife. It was so funny. She is a perfectionist. She definitely has some OCD tendencies, loves to clean, loves to make everything perfect. But I was saying to her this weekend, I'm like, nothing's ever perfect. Nothing's perfect. You can't make things perfect. So we have this big Ramada. We have this big Ramada in our backyard, not a, Nissan Ramada or Armada or whatever they're called. We've got this big place in our backyard that it has a hot tub underneath it and we got a pool and everything like that. And so we've had it for a couple of years and I'm supposed to, yes, my wife's like, yeah, you're supposed to, not we. I'm supposed to go out there every year and I'm supposed to, put this stuff on it that waterproofs it because it's this beautiful wood. And, you're supposed to do it yearly. And if you do it yearly, it stays looking really nice. Well, I don't do that. I haven't done that in 3 years. And so it's looking shabby. The wood's looking yucky. It's just kind of looking faded. It's starting to get some crack lines and everything. And my wife says to me, hey, you know what we should do this weekend? And I said, well, what? What should we do this weekend? She says, well, we're quarantined, so why don't we go in the backyard, get some fresh air? And I'm thinking, yeah, go swim, have a party maybe with, the kids and do pizza. And I'm thinking it's going to be really fun. She goes, and then we can stain the Ramada. We can make it look great again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been avoiding this for 3 years. I don't want to do this. So, of course, I lose. I'm not the boss in life. She's the boss. So I lose. Well, we go to the store, we get the stuff, we come back and we start, and not only, by the way, are we putting the protectant seal on it, but now she's decided we're going to change the color of it. So it's a stain/sealer. Right? And it's taking it from like a lighter color wood to this nice dark wood that, matches all of our pool stuff. I didn't know that you had to have a backyard trash can, but apparently a backyard trash can is a thing. So we now have ordered and have this awesome backyard trash can. And I'm not talking about the trash cans that go on the side of your house and you drag them out to the road every day. No, we have to have a special one that's by our pool. So all the kids can put their trash cans in. But it can't just be a normal trash can. It's got to be like this beautiful decorative trash can. And then she bought this beautiful decorative chest that holds all the kids' pool toys and everything. And so now the Ramada has to match the color of the decorative crap I have in my backyard. And so we're out there and I'm just like, this sucks.
You got to repaint the $6,000 Ramada to make sure it looks like the $100 trash can.
Yes. If it was even $100, it was probably $50 or something. It's so stupid. And so we're out there and I'm just like, this is such a big job. This is insane. So we're out there and it's like a stain. It's an oil-based stain that has sealant in it and all this. And it's going to be amazing. And so we literally have to use paintbrushes and paint every inch of this thing. Well, now we can't screw it up and we can't do a bad job because it's changing the color dramatically. So when I was just going to spray this sealant stuff on it that was clear.
Yeah.
It didn't change the color. It was totally clear. You would never even known that I sprayed it. But, this is what you get for procrastinating,
yeah.
Okay?
If you would have done the job right
yes.
3 years ago.
Yes, if I would have just done it right, I wouldn't be doing this. But I'm out there, and it takes 3 of us, and we're working on this. My dad's there, my wife's there, and I'm there, and we're out there, and we're just painting away on this thing, and changing the color and everything. Well, if you know anything about oil, and wood, it soaks in. The oil soaks into the wood. So we get pretty much done with this thing. It took all day, and there's still some spots that we have to, finish. But at the end, it kind of looks blotchy. Like it's soaked in more in certain areas, and it didn't soak in as much in certain areas, and like it looks blotchy. My wife's looking at it, and she's just like, we're just going to have to buy another Ramada. And I'm like, no, we're not going to buy another freaking Ramada. We're in a pandemic, woman. This is not a time to be spending money frivolously. We're just we're not going to do this. So I says, listen, just wait. It's soaked in, but I think once it dries, it's all wet. And I think once it dries, it's going to look a lot better. And she's like, no, it just doesn't look perfect. And then ensues the conversation. Nothing in life is perfect. Chelsea, the wood, it's wood. Wood warps, it's got knots, it's gnarly, it twists, like nothing. We have done so many projects in our house. And by the way, I am not, when I say we have done so many projects, I mean, I have hired so many people to do projects in my house because I am not a handyman at all. Sometimes I pretend I am, like this weekend, I want my wife to still think I'm hot, right? And like, oh, he's a handyman.
I think you skipped what she said though. When you're like, nothing in life is perfect, Chelsea. I know that she immediately said, well, yeah, if you're doing it.
Yes, exactly. She's like, and she really did say to me, she goes, Trevor, you have such good intentions, but babe, you are just flying through this. Like, and I'm dripping oil all over our beautiful pavers, and she's getting super mad at me. Okay. She's getting pissed. And I'm like, but I'm all these projects in our house, they're all made out of wood, this big, huge, beautiful entertainment center. Then she had the windows framed out. Then she had these gorgeous, lockers put in down this big long hallway. So each kid, I have 5 children. Yes, there's a billion of us. And I'm almost going to go to jail from quarantine because I'm over the limit just with my family. You're only allowed to have 10. We're just about there. But, I've got these lockers and everything. And in each project, at the end of them, I'm like, these are thousands and thousands of dollars to do. And at the end, my wife, I'm like, oh, do you just love it? Are you so excited and everything? She's like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, what do you mean it's good? It's gorgeous. These things look amazing. And she's like, well, it's not perfect. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm flashing back to like my entire marriage of 16 years, my entire marriage of all of these times where it's not that perfect. Oh, it's not that perfect. And I'm like, just like, and I'm starting to get super mad. And I'm like, it's not perfect. Nothing in life is perfect, but it's going to be good enough. It's going to look amazing. So, back to the Ramada. Back to the Ramada. We wake up the next day, and the first thing she does is she gets up and she walks to the window. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm looking at the Ramada. I got to see if it just looks horrible. And she goes, and at one point she said, we should have just had this professionally done. And I'm like, we had all the people build this stuff professionally, and you still didn't you love it, but you don't love it. Like you love it, but it's not perfect. So she opens it up, and I go walk up next to her, and I'm like, dang, this looks good. It looks really good. And she's like, yeah, you know what? It is pretty good. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's definitely, it's like gorgeous, babe. She's like, well, yeah, it's good enough. It's good enough. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And which kind of spurred this whole conversation today in business about perfection and how not like trying to achieve perfection is it's impossible. And so, the funny thing is that people came over, everybody saw it, and everybody was just like, oh my gosh, that is gorgeous. It looks so good. So the thing is that we need to remember, what's not perfect to us is gorgeous to other people. Right. What might only be good enough to us is going to be amazing to other people. Every time someone walks in my house and they see this beautiful, big, floor-to-ceiling entertainment center, custom built, they always go, that is amazing. My wife immediately goes, oh yeah, but there's a little nick over there, and oh, look at that and over there. And I'm just like, shh, stop it. If you didn't point it out, they'd never notice. Like, so in business, Trevor, what does this big rant that you have? Obviously, you were like bugged with your wife this weekend, and this is not the place to come and air it out, right? Well, you all just became a therapist. Thousands of listeners becoming my therapist. No, this relates to business, because think about like the service industry.
Yep.
Think about any business. We also this weekend got quotes to put shades on our windows, the outside, like those privacy shades. They help with the UV, also the guy sat and blah, 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 blah. This is what it does. And this is what it does. And this is what it does. And I'm just like, listen, all that matters is don't even look at me. Just talk to the boss. Talk to the boss. If the boss says yes, we're going to do it. But think about that. You know, and you are the expert of what you do. But all these people, all of your clients, they're not necessarily experts. One of my best friends is a contractor, and he does gorgeous remodels. And he can walk into any house and immediately start picking out every single issue in that house. He just sees it. If a floor is not level, he just sees it. And he even told me, he goes, man, I had to learn to shut my mouth. He goes, because I was losing friends over this. I'd walk into their house and I'd be like, oh man, your floor is totally not even and everything. And they'd be like, what? And people got tired of it. They got tired of hearing what was wrong. You are the expert, but the rest of these people are not experts. And so when the guy was talking about, this and this, and this is how it's going to look and everything, it's funny because he probably could have pointed out a million different problems potentially that he would see with our windows and how he would mount them and all this stuff like that. But why?
Yeah.
He had his little presentation. He had it down to a T. He knew exactly what to say. He knew the pain points to hit. He knew, what to do. But the funny thing is that it probably wasn't always that way.
Yeah.
Another client of mine was a physical therapist. And when I was first talking to him about, talking to his clients and talking to all of his patients and making videos, for instance. Well, one thing that we talked about is I said, well, listen, what you should simply do. He was talking to me about my physical therapy and this certain stretch and how, when I did the stretch, he goes, no. Just turn your ankle this way, lean back this way, and then move your hips forward this way. And he did these three little things. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, that's the stretch. That's crazy. It was so different. And yet I had my whole life been doing the stretch this other way, a very common stretch. And so I thought I was doing it right. I was doing it totally wrong. And 99% of people out there are doing it totally wrong. So when he showed me that, I said, listen, you need to make a video that just simply says, hey, here's a stretch you've been doing your entire life, but you've been doing it wrong. And here's how you're going to do it even better. Do this, and you're going to be amazed at the stretch. And he goes, everybody knows that. He's like, his response was, everybody knows that. I said, what do you mean everybody knows that? I'm a pretty smart guy. I pride myself on being a pretty smart guy. I research a lot of things. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. Okay, bud? I've done a lot of stretching off of YouTube. Thank you very much. Because, YouTube is the authority. And I said, but I have never had anyone. I've watched YouTube videos of people showing me how to do the exact same stretch, and no one has ever said, do this, and do this, and I've gotten that result. They've never done that. I said, what's common sense to you and is mind-blowing and amazing to other people. Okay, so think about that when it comes to your, different things that you're doing in your business. And Troy, we're going to talk about that. You've got some examples of how perfection isn't the right path. Good enough, which sounds weird, but good enough is usually going to be amazing for other people.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about that. We'll talk about a couple of different things. The first one I want to talk about is product. So, I don't know if you guys ever watched Shark Tank, but, you see this happen all the time. You see somebody come on Shark Tank and they'll be like, yeah, I've spent the last, 12 months or last 4 years, and I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I created this awesome product, and it's going to change the world.
Yeah.
And what's the first thing they ask them? Okay, well, what are your sales? And they're like, I have $1,000. And they're like, what? And they go ballistic on them, right? Because they spent all this time, energy, and effort, and money creating something, and it didn't sell.
Yep.
And they're like, but it will sell. I know it will. Well, you haven't sold it yet, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the big issues that people have when it comes to their services or products is you're trying to create the perfect product and you don't actually know if it's going to work.
That's right.
Right? So, create a product that's good enough.
Yeah.
See if you can actually go out there and sell it. Get feedback from the people that are buying the product from you, and then improve it.
Yeah, and think about that. If you were creating a perfect product or service, essentially what you're saying is that it would take care of 100% of the people's problems. It would service 100% or be a product that 100% of the people want to purchase. That is impossible because everyone is different.
Yes.
So think about it. Good enough means you're going to get it to 90% of the people want it.
Yes.
That's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking about it earlier, like if we had waited to build SoTellUs into everything that we envision that it will actually be, right? All of the awesome features that we want to add in there and all these other great things, it still wouldn't be done.
No, we're still building it every day.
Right? And we would have lost out on millions of dollars of revenue waiting to build it. And guess what? Even when we think it's perfect, we are still going to get that customer that calls in and goes, well, I love the system, but I really wish that
it did.
It did this.
Yes.
I promise you, we get it every day. They're like, well, yeah, SoTellUs is so awesome, but I really wish it would completely replace all of my staff that, cleans carpets.
Yeah, it's funny. Or, wait, I thought it was going to replace these 3 people in my company that did this marketing and this marketing and this. Like, no.
Right.
It's so funny.
Yeah. So it's no matter how perfect it is, it's never going to be perfect, right? Because someone's going to always want more from it. Yeah. So don't miss out on sales and revenue because you're trying to make something perfect. Now let's talk about videos. Oh my gosh. Well, first off, video is so important right now.
Absolutely.
But what I love right now about video is that a lot of people are being forced into doing video that normally would not do it with Zoom and all these other things.
Yep.
And it's hilarious.
I know.
Like it's
these virtual
hilarious.
tours. I love watching the radio show guys that are normally just on radio and now they're like really pushed into the limelight and they're on Zoom and everything and you're just like, and they're at their houses. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you saw the video of the guy who was on the Zoom meeting and there's like 4 people on there and he mutes the microphone and thought he turned the camera off. He stands up and he's like in his boxer shorts and he's like walking around the living room and the other people are just dying laughing, and they're trying to get his attention and he's not. And then like finally one of the girls call him and say, hey, your camera is on. We can all see you in your underwear, and then he like freaks out, knocks the laptop over or something like that.
That's
but anyways,
hilarious.
so people are getting pushed into video that would normally do it, right? And I remember when we first started doing video, holy smokes.
Yeah.
We used to spend months writing scripts, like filming it, refilming it again and again and again. I can't tell you how many times I said one sentence in my life.
Yes.
I probably said it 1,000 times so that it would just be perfect in this video.
If you have watched any of the SoTellUs videos that I am on, it was like 1,000 takes for every video. It was to just and some of these videos, and I like to shoot off the cuff, and some of these videos were 15 minutes long, and I would get down to the last 30 seconds, and I would bumble it. And I would be like, I gotta do it again. This was before, editing skills came into play.
Right. Exactly. So, what's crazy is, what happened with us is we launched those marketing videos.
Yeah.
And we found out that we had just wasted months of our time.
Yeah.
Because the marketing video didn't actually work.
No, one of the best things I ever did was at one point, SoTellUs Time was a live show on Facebook. I was doing Facebook Live, and in live TV, you realize, and going on some of these other TV episodes we've been on and webisodes of other people's, when you're live, there is no, pause, back it up, cut that, change it up, put it back together. You say something wrong, you got to roll with it. You forget and have a brain fart. You're like, well, I guess we'll move on to the next thing and I'll probably come back to that in just a little bit. You can't do it. So that was one of the best things I ever did was doing the Facebook Lives, was because it taught me that nothing is perfect.
Right.
Nothing is perfect. And I had such raving fans for that. I mean, all throughout the Facebook episodes, people were messaging me because they could message. And I did like that. I liked that interaction and everything. But people loved it. And they laughed at the funny things and they thought it was great. And it made them relate to me more than when I was having a camera crew come in and do these professionally edited videos where everything I said was perfect. All the music was perfect. Everything, they didn't perform as well. And the funny thing is that even at the end of those professionally made videos, it cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
They were not perfect.
No.
Yeah. And people related to them less.
Exactly. That's the thing is like, so we, after we launched those marketing videos and they didn't work, we totally changed our philosophy and we started cranking out different versions of the videos, right? Quickly. And then we tested them and we found out which ones worked the best. And then once we found the one that was the very best, we then, tried to perfect that one.
Yeah.
We then put the energy and effort into that one because we knew it was successful. Now we just made it better so that we got a better ROI on it.
Yeah, and one of our videos that made us millions was one of our clients that was on Zoom. And we've talked about this in previous episodes, but he was on Zoom and the video was horrible. It was so grainy. You could almost barely not even make him out. It's almost like one of those videos like from the ID channel or whatever, where they're like, their face is all blurred out and they're talking like this. I was over there one day and and their voices are all muffled and everything. It almost looked like one of those videos. And one of his employees walked in the background at one point and like saw the camera. He's like, and he like slowly backed up. He's like, oh no, and moonwalked out of there. That video literally helped make us millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
And it was a terrible video, but it got the message across.
Exactly. So again, when it comes to video, way better to just start doing it and getting it out there than it is to try to perfect it.
Yeah, because right now, guys, every business, even if you're brick and mortar, needs to have some sort of online presence.
Yep.
You should be doing, web tours. You should be doing virtual tours. Like we've given examples in the past, some of our patio furniture companies, some of these ones that are in retailers where normally somebody has to walk in the door to see their product. They're doing these virtual tours of their products and they're being able to sell their products online.
Yeah, exactly. And talking about web presence, that's the next thing we're going to talk about is your website, right? A lot of times people spend forever building their website.
Yep.
When you don't need to. Because the great thing about a website is that it's fluid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're writing a book and printing the book and now you can't change the book, right?
Exactly.
No, it's fluid. It can change very quickly. So that's what you should be doing with your website. You need to get it out there and then adjust it and make changes. Get it launched so that the search engines can actually start indexing it. A lot of people say like, oh, well, I don't want to get it out there. I don't want Google to see it until it's perfect. Well, guess what? Google's going to take forever to come and find it.
Exactly.
And then once they do start finding it and indexing it, then they're going to come back and check it out.
And guess what? Google sees words and code.
Yes.
They don't see design. So,
exactly.
And the funny thing about that is, how many times have we had people come to us and they just spent $10,000 on building their website and they're like, I hate it.
Yes.
I hate it. I hate my website. Or, man, it really just didn't turn out the way that I thought. It's never, if you love it, if you absolutely love it. We had a client one time that Troy was like, I hate their website. It was like neon pink and purple and it was just hideous, but it went with their business. Yes. It was perfect. It was a restaurant and it went with their business and they loved it. But the funny thing to that is, the point of that is, not everybody is. So again, you are not going to achieve perfection. Even if you think you have achieved perfection in your own mind, there are people out there who are going to disagree or not like what you're doing. So what we need to achieve is good enough, because good enough is going to get to 90% of the people. Perfection is never going to be achieved, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, we've had people come to us that have spent $10,000 on a website and they're like, I really don't like it, or I love the look of it, but it doesn't perform.
Yeah.
It doesn't bring me any business. And it's like, wow, you could have spent, a quarter of that price and built a website that doesn't look as amazing as that one looks, but actually performs.
Oh yeah, we had a lighting company that years ago that they had a website that was the ugliest thing. We tried to get him to update it all the time, and he absolutely told us no. And the reason was that it was producing him over $100,000 a month in online sales.
Yep.
And this was years ago when online sales weren't even as big as they are today. I mean, pre-Amazon and all this stuff. He was making over $100,000 a month just off his website, but it was the most ugly thing I've ever seen. And Troy too. But the guy's like, you know what? You don't fix broke. Right?
No.
Yeah, exactly. No, you do fix broke, right? It wasn't broke. That's the point. His website wasn't broke. It was producing for him. It was working. So don't mess with what's working, right?
Right. Exactly. All right. So another one real quick that we were talking about, even with our own business, is like I remember going out and doing, because we speak at tons of events, right?
Yeah.
And we've
Not
done
this year.
tons of presentations. But, you know, I remember in the beginning when we were creating these presentations, we had a couple of options. We could spend, you know, tens of thousands of dollars and work on this perfect presentation. And, you know, it's going to take about 6 months, I think it was, to get it all done. Or we could just get out there and start giving presentations. Yeah. So what did we choose to do? We chose to get out there and start getting presentations. And I think in the first 6 months, we landed hundreds of clients.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, was that first presentation, that first speaking gig amazing?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say it was amazing, but I'll tell you what, it was amazing to get clients that paid us versus not paying us.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, in the beginning, people laughed and they cried. And if you can get people to laugh and cry, that's your whole job right there, because you're connecting with them. The problem was in the beginning, they were laughing at us and they were crying by the end because they were so sick of listening to us talk. Now they laugh because we're funny and they cry because they're emotionally connected with us and our stories. But the best part about that, Troy, is when we first jumped into it, we just said, hey, we just got to go for it. It's just like, we had this opportunity come up to speak at this event. And I just said, we're going to do it. And it was like that night I created this presentation and it worked.
Yep.
It totally worked. And the people were like, wow, you know, and so we started building on that presentation. Well, then come down months later, we're like, hey, presentations and speaking, this was working really, really well. So let's put some money into this. We need to put some real money and energy and efforts into this. So we started paying for these like workshops and everything with these, you know, high-end speakers and authors that teach you how to do all this stuff and make your perfect presentation. And we perfected it. We made the best presentation. And you know what's funny is we noticed that our sales started to decline at these events. And so I was like, I just told her, I said, you know what? Let's just kind of revert this back. There was one or two things I like about it, but let's bring it back to the original, what we really originally built. And when we did, our sales started to go back up.
Yep.
So again, when we were trying to improve it, when we were trying to make it perfect and thought that, oh, this is going to be so much better, it wasn't. What we had built originally was good enough, and good enough was making us money.
Exactly. And we've been able to perfect it along the way, right? And that's what matters. So I don't know, Trevor, do you have anything else before we close up?
No, I mean, I think that just in closing, some of my closing thoughts is, think about the things you've been wanting to work on for a long time. Think about the things that you've said, man, I really need to get that done. I really need this marketing piece. I really need this website changed. I really need, you know, these videos made. I really want to do this. I thought about starting a podcast before, but what would I say? And I say, and I say, but, and I say all these filler words that I shouldn't say. It doesn't matter. Guess what? So do all of your listeners.
Right.
All of us use these filler words. It's okay. It's, you know, and that's the thing. Nothing is going to be perfect, but you are missing out on thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars, or for us, it would have been millions of dollars we would have missed out on if we wouldn't have just taken those first steps.
Yep.
And so the key is just taking those first steps and getting better as you go. Because nothing is ever going to be, in my opinion, perfect.
Right. Because guess what? By the time it is perfect, everything will have changed. And you will have to redo it anyways.
That's exactly right.
You know, so again, my closing thoughts are, I was thinking about this from like a sports perspective. So here's what I would say. It is better to be in the game than sitting on the sidelines planning the perfect play. So think about that for a second. You're never going to make a basket sitting on the sidelines. But you have a shot at doing it when you're in the game. And that's what you have to do. That's exactly what we're telling you right now is get in the game.
Yeah, because think about all my service industry people. Think about your business. Right now, someone is searching for your service.
Yes.
I was looking at screens and getting quotes this last weekend. I'm already making a purchase. So if you're working on your marketing right now, you missed out on my business.
Yep.
There are people looking today, and you're missing out on that business because you think it's got to be perfect. If I were to get a mailer in the mail, going back to like my physical therapist that I was talking with and helping him, it's that you think it's just common sense is mind-blowing to me. When I pick up a mailer about carpet cleaning or about, window shades or about anything, dentistry, doesn't matter, child care centers, whatever that is, I am not the expert of that. You are. I am just a consumer who is looking for it, and what I have to be sold on is that you're who I want to do it with. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to pick up this flyer and go, oh, well, they're not doing this stretch quite right. Like, I don't know that crap. I don't know that, screwing into the frame is better than screwing into the foundation for putting screens, the stucco. I don't know. Until you tell me this stuff, I don't know any of this stuff. So trying to get perfection and not get it out there doesn't matter to your consumer because they don't know the products and the things and the services like you do.
Yep, exactly. And the only way to get to perfection is to actually get out there and do it and find out what really works.
Yep.
That's the key. Nobody ever got perfection, in the lab, if you will.
That's
it's
right.
Real world trials.
Yep.
That prove what works best. So get out there and do it.
One last example. Okay. One last example. We're having a removable fence put around our pool. Oh. And so there are multiple types of removable fences. I did not know this when I started looking as a consumer. So I get on websites and I start asking for quotes, and people are going to come and give me quotes. I start getting flyers in the mail. So I'm calling those people and getting quotes. It wasn't until these people come to my house that I realized, oh my gosh, there's solid poles. There's poles with like little spikes on the end that you put in the ground. There's hollow poles. There's poles that bend. There's all these different things. And which one you pick matters, absolutely matters. And from what I've learned, the solid pole is the most important, but I would never have known that. And guess what? I didn't know that looking at their websites. Yeah. I didn't know that looking at their flyers, and it didn't matter to me, even if they would have had it on their website, which guess what? I went back and looked. They all do talk about this stuff on their website, but I never even paid attention to any of that because I didn't know any of it until they came to my house and they said, this is what matters and this is what matters. But guess what? The people who are still planning their marketing, that are still trying to write that perfect flyer that they're going to send out, or still trying to build that perfect website and get it online, they missed out on my business. Yeah. The ones that were there got my business, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. That's it for us today, Trevor. So anything else you want to add?
No, thank you guys. We love you. We're so grateful for you. Things are looking up. I love that, just real quick, I love that, the president has worked with these medical physicians and they're working on the different phases to roll out to get this country back up and running, which should be really exciting news for all of our listeners.
Yes.
I think that honestly, Arizona's in phase 1. And hopefully, I'm hoping that come May 1st, we're getting rolled into phase 2, which would open things back up with social distancing, as far as even like movie theaters and things like that, because I definitely know that all of our listeners know this as well. We're all feeling it. We're all ready to get back. And so I'm excited about that.
All right. Everyone take care.
Yep. We will see you guys on the next episode of SoTellUs Time.